Father, can you help us?
The church works with people who specialize in situations like this.
Curse of LA LLORONA.
Is she coming?
She's already here.
What do we do?
We are facing an evil. It has no bounds.
Rinsing.
Aloha! This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, all the way here in Hawaii, not Wakanda forever, unfortunately, but today I am giving you my movie review of the weekend movie that opened up called La Llorona. It opened up this Friday, wide release. Another installment in the Conjuring universe by James Wan. And remember our rating scale, shock a thumbs up. I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's junk. I don't recommend it. And well, for La Llorona, it is definitely a shock a thumbs up. Now, I was both hesitant and a little excited about this movie. You know, La Llorona, the crying woman, is a Latin American, Latino folklore, legend of, a woman, or at least a demon or a ghost of some type. In many iterations, it turns out to be the devil itself. Disguised as a woman, weeping, crying over, just crying. I believe in hopes of luring its victims to them, to take their souls and to take their lives. My mother had even told me stories about how she was, walking alone through, parks and through, desolate areas back in her youth, where she would hear this crying sound off in the distance, and she would attempt to follow that sound to see where its source is, because, she was concerned about, who's crying, what's making this noise. And the further and further away she got, the more concerned and more worried she got, until finally she decided to give up and not follow this anymore, believing it to be La Llorona, seeking her to her doom. So it's not uncommon for people, hiking up in trails, you hear some weird sound or something, and you go and you want to investigate. But unfortunately, or fortunately, you don't. That's the main thing about it. This is yet another iteration in that tale. I believe it expounds upon the legend itself. In this one, she is a woman. La Llorona is a woman who was, cheated upon by her husband. And so as the ultimate revenge, she kills her children by drowning, and then herself, in order to get revenge on her husband. And in doing so, she goes ahead and is cursed to always come back, and I suppose lure others to a similar fate, unfortunately. And that is the story that we get in this. We get her backstory in the first 5 minutes of the movie, which is basically what I've told you. And then from there on in, it sets out into the 70s with a widowed family, a mother and her 2 children, who unfortunately come across the paths of La Llorona. And she begins to seek out her children. In help, she goes to the church, which oddly enough is the same priest, I believe, that had dealt with those paranormal researchers in the very first Annabelle, maybe the Conjuring movie. I'm not sure exactly. I think it was Annabelle, because they do show the Annabelle doll in this priest's possession. So I believe he's linked to that movie, but I'd never seen it. Outside of that, when he says that the church may be too slow to act, all the bureaucracy, he urges the woman and her children to go seek help from a local shaman, which is very common in ethnic communities, a curandero, to go ahead and ward off this evil spirit, which fortunately this man is on the up and up, and he attempts to help this woman. What I like about this story, which is far superior to the early version of that's somewhat similar, The Nun, that came out, is that our protagonist, this woman and her children, in defending her children, she is ready to defend her children and herself. When face to face with a ghost, La Llorona, in her house, she picks up a baseball bat and attempts to swing on it. And I got to give big props to that, because that's realism. You find something weird in your house, you're going to try to defend yourself, your children, your home. You're not just going to sit there and scream, and let it go like, all these people on The Nun and even that Conjuring Origins or whatever. It was crazy. And that's where I had to give those movies a shock of thumbs down. But this one, with La Llorona, it is a definite shock of thumbs up. The mythology being something that I'm familiar with, something that's culturally familiar, and culturally, at least in the lexicon and the community, I think will go far in solidifying this movie as a winner in the Conjuring universe, whereas The Nun was a definite stumble. And I look forward to very, very much more movies with this story, most likely moving it more into modern day, as this one was set in the 70s. So because of the struggle and the inklings of hope that we have for this family, and their proactiveness to attempt to get help, I got to give it a shock of thumbs up, well over The Nun. Whereas, like I said, that and with Annabelle Creations, or whatever I think it was last year, it's just much better in the fact that these people, although they're not prepared to face this threat, they do so, they know that there's a threat, and they take steps to attempt to deal with it as best they can, in seeking help, both from the church and from this local shaman. And that is why I feel it's a much, much stronger movie, and then also bound more into a, I want to say real, but an actual legend or folklore of, of the world itself, and not just, made up, like The Nun. Although, there are, so there are elements in this of realism, and you can definitely feel the tension between the mother and her fear of loss of her children by this supernatural entity. And it even goes as far as to give this supernatural entity, rationale, motivation behind her actions, as along with, the knowledge of her backstory and seeking revenge, that she herself was hurt badly by her husband. There are some redeeming moments for the ghost, for the demon, in this movie as well, which is nice to see. You know, so again, I got to give it props. If you're looking for a good scary movie, something new to watch that's at the theaters, this is definitely the top contender for the weekend, La Llorona, especially if you like scary movies. Don't waste your time with Hellboy, and if you've seen Shazam already, you know, this is the one for you before next week Endgame. So definitely go ahead and check it out when you can. La Llorona. It is a spooky fun fest, you know, not for small kids, but, you know, your older, you know, your teenagers will enjoy this as well as anyone with a, you know, Spanish, Mexican background will definitely, you know, feel accustomed and at home watching this show. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, live once again from beautiful Hawaii, giving La Llorona a shaka thumbs up. Please go ahead and check it out when you can. Definitely on streaming later on Netflix or iTunes. Check it out there if not at the theater. All right, but again, it is worth full price. All right, thank you so much, and aloha.